learning about industry standard is important because people will try to take advantage of you. If you have someone being, hey, I'll make you a big star, I'll get you some shows and all this great stuff, and they're like, I'll just take 25%, obviously they are way overcharging you. They are not entitled to that percentage just based on industry standard. For today's music business tip, I will be giving you a beginner's guide to breaking into the music industry. Now, this one I'm very excited to talk about because over the last 48 hours, I've had this conversation with such a variety of people, and I feel like I have a really strong understanding of kind of where people are starting from and just feeling this sense of like not knowing where to start, where to go, what do you need to learn, but feeling this, as I call it, the great itch, just feeling this kind of burning desire that you want to do something in the music industry, in the music business, and like I said, just not knowing where to start. So before we jump into it, I'm not going to sell you anything. All I ask is that if you find value in this video, please like the video and, just send it to one person. Everything I do on this channel as far as these free videos is so that I can help you guys, and the best way that we can grow our community is just by word of mouth and sharing. So I definitely appreciate you guys doing that. Now, make sure you stick till the end because I'm going to be discussing some music industry jobs that you probably didn't know existed, and you're going to be very excited. Okay? So, let's start, I guess, with maybe, for me, the first step of where to go, what job to get, why it makes sense for you, because a lot of us have that 9 to 5. A lot of us end up finding career paths that allow us to survive and support our families and support ourselves. And so for some of us more creatives or people who just are very passionate about music, often those are not within the music field, right? Those career paths are more of the traditional career paths. And if you go that route, that's great. But sometimes people just want to know, how do I get into the music industry? So number one is, of course, you got to learn about the actual music business, right? The music industry in itself. Now, something that you'll hear from me, and you can search my Top Music Attorney YouTube channel, and you'll see a lot of videos talking about the importance of starting your own LLC, regardless of what type of business you start, okay, or what you do in the music industry. And the reason for this is because when you start an LLC, it creates a liability shield around you. So, regardless of whether you're just a service provider, you know what I'm saying? You like to make music videos, you like to, create digital products for clients, like whatever it is that you're doing. By having a limited liability company, it creates protection for your personal stuff. Okay. So if you do something and you piss off your client and now they're suing you and they're like, you did a terrible job and I paid you $5,000 and, you actually did a great job, and they're just, it's a situation you got to deal with. The good news is that pursuant to your agreement and the fact that you had an LLC, they have to sue your LLC. And they can't sue you personally. They can't come after your cars. They can't come after your house. So it's a really important first step that I encourage absolutely everyone that I work with, whether it's a student, whether it's a client. And then on top of that, to have contracts in everything that you do, right? So if we don't have a written agreement, then we have what's called a verbal agreement. If you have a verbal agreement, it's still an enforceable contract, right? So if you and I have a verbal agreement, you do something, you don't do the service, or you don't pay me, I can still sue you. It just gets incredibly more difficult for me to actually enforce that agreement. So having an actual written contract defining simple terms is really, really beneficial. You gotta do it, okay? So other than the LLC, other than getting the contracts, learning about industry standard. And this is why, a lot of what I recommend when I'm working with clients and students, learning about industry standard is important because people will try to take advantage of you, right? So when we're negotiating our deal points, if you're working with an agent, if you don't know that a standard rate for an agent, like a booking agent, would be 10 to 15%. If you have someone being, hey, I'll make you a big star, I'll get you some shows and all this great stuff, and they're like, I'll just take 25%. Well, you don't have red flags going off just to know that obviously they are way overcharging you. They are not entitled to that percentage just based on industry standard. Same with managers. Managers get 15 to 20% at the very most. And they typically are not going to collect from certain things in your career. So that's why not only do you need to understand this, okay, whether you are going to be a manager yourself or you're going to be managed by someone, but in order for you to be someone that just understands how the industry works, you got to know that stuff. Okay. And that's why I just really encourage people to continue their learning regardless of what path they go on, right? Because someone might want to be a publisher. They might want to be a manager. They might want to start their own record label, right? They maybe want to just get into merch. They just want to sell, artist and band clothing or merch items. Whatever you're doing within the actual business, understanding what actual industry standard is going to make you a way better and smarter business person. Okay. So now we're still within the umbrella of just getting to know how it works in the music business and actually operating in the music business the way you got to operate. And the last piece of, this first section is just learning how to negotiate. Okay, so on Top Music Attorney, there's a video, How to Negotiate Like an Attorney. And this is actually like one of my best videos that you can find because I teach you my literal tactics that I use. I've been an attorney for 8 years. Okay. I know how to negotiate. I know how to get my client an extra $1 million on a deal, and I know how to close. And it's not because I'm just some special, skilled attorney. It's that I've built these skills and I've implemented them, and I'm going to teach you guys how to do it. So I definitely would say check out that resource. So just learning how to negotiate for yourself is something that is so valuable for no matter what you're doing, right? So even if you go and you're trying to get like a lease for your car, you still need to know how to negotiate. That, by the way, has been very helpful for me as well because I lease all my vehicles. So that's number one. Number two, what you want to do is you want to determine what you're passionate about. And where I start with clients and students is once you kind of get in and understand how the music business works, that's how you can determine how you're going to be in that mix of things. Okay. So if you get super excited with, managing artists and you want to help artists. I've heard people say this, right? Their whole thing is that they're not really trying to make money. They just want to be able to help the artists or the creators that they like. Okay. They want to see super great music videos. They want to hear great music of people that they love. And that's okay, right? So regardless of whether you're going after it because you're looking for that financial payout, because there are insanely high financial payouts when it comes to music acquisitions, music sales, streaming numbers, tours, and merchandise. But if it's just, first of all, determining what your passion is and what you want to do, that's going to be the thing that propels your next steps. Because I think a lot of people feel lost. They're not sure where to start. And so by understanding first the music industry as a whole, and then being like, okay, so what do I want to do within all of that? What am I passionate about? Now you're going to figure out a way to do it. Okay. So for me, being someone who is just really inspired and I love music. And so I became an entertainment attorney. And as part of what I do, a huge portion of my practice is just for music because I love music. Now, I do other areas of law as well, but in addition to that, obviously, I have a music podcast. In addition to that, I release music. I just know that that's the thing that I love. So I have forced it into every aspect of what I do. So that's number two. Number three is then we do need to think about how do we make money? Okay. And this may, perk your ear up because maybe that's the whole thing of what you want. You want the riches and the fame and, all that sexy stuff. And that's cool. Okay. Because that comes with this. And that's why people are very attractive, to it. That's why artists want to be big stars. That's why record labels want to sign artists and make a lot of money because there is a lot of money in it. So what you have to do is you have to determine sustainability. So, part of a lot of what I teach on this channel when it comes to like the financing is determining where you're going to make money and how that connects with what you're passionate about and what you want to do. So going back to the example of, well, if you want to be a manager, okay, well, then you know that you can't just go and sign like 10 artists that have zero following, that are never posting on social media, that aren't making music, because you don't make any money if they don't make any money. And if they're not making money, that means you're going to have to work 10 times harder and do It's no longer a partnership. So you want to find talent that is already kind of doing the work, and then you're going to come in and you're going to elevate. Same thing with record labels, right? Don't spend your advance that you're paying to an artist to someone who is not putting in the work. Big record labels these days, they aren't going to do hardly any development. They used to, but they're not anymore because they know that that's a waste of money. It makes more sense because there's so much talent out there to find the artists who are already doing the work, who are making the music and doing their social media and promoting, and they're just going to pour gas on the fire. Okay. And they'll make it more like a partnership. You might be interested in just, sync licensing, right? So just meaning you either are a songwriter and you make the music, or you are someone who buys music and licenses it to TV, film, gaming. That by itself, I have clients, I have students that do just that, and they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. They don't care about touring, they don't care about performing. And so that's why I go back to, what do you care about? What do you want to do? If you're like, I want to be an accountant for all of the big stars, cool. That's a job too. If you want to be an attorney to all the big stars, that's a lot of fun. You get to meet your heroes, you get to do some cool stuff. And so finding your passion, then figuring out, how do we make this sustainable? Because that's where the failure happens for a lot of people. They lose sight of why they're doing it. They don't have a plan, a strategy. So then the income gets disrupted, and then they stop doing it. And then they find themselves in that 9 to 5 doing something that they hate, because it still is more stable income. So number 4, what we're going to do is kind of combine all of that into one package to then say, okay, so if you're going to dive in and you want to break into the music industry, how do you start and where do you start? Now, for me, I'm very much into just start yourself, right? So some people might be like, you got to go get an internship with someone who's doing the thing that you want to do. And that's cool, right? You can message, 100 different people who are doing the thing that you want to do. You can offer to volunteer your time. You can more softly and gracefully ease into a certain industry if you're coming from something else. But for me, I just was like, F it. Let's just start my, your own, or in this case, my own record label. What is a record label? It's just a music business, because I wanted to own the music. I wanted to be in charge of what was happening with live shows, who was hired, what money was spent. And then I figured out, well, as a label, you can provide label services. Okay. So then you can have income coming into the company to support what you were doing to elevate, whether you're just doing it as an artist, if you are a band. And so you find those revenue streams to support the passion. But you got to think like a business. And, I was talking to someone and he kind of made the point, and he's like, well, I'm not trying to be a business. I'm just trying to do X, Y, and Z with artists. And my response to him was, what are you talking about? You are a business. Anyone who provides services or makes goods and sells them, even if it's just you are technically a business. And so I go back to my first point. Start an LLC. Okay. Even if it's just you got to still protect yourself and start to change that mindset of, no, in order for me to succeed, to break into the industry, to get started, I need to be in a position where I'm already going to excel, because I know how this all works. Because if you jump in, people will take advantage of you. There are not nice people in this world. I'm not going to say it's just the entertainment business. It's every industry. There's a lot in the entertainment industry. And so if you set yourself up for success in that way, then you'll already be on the path, and then you will start to see where the roadblocks are, and you will get faster at overcoming them. And so for me, I was talking to someone today, and I'm just like, I had a lot of failures and I had to learn those hard lessons. So that's why I do these free videos. It's to just teach you guys how to do it yourself, to do it for free, and just to make sure that you can, stay protected legally along the way. So what I would say is, be ready to jump in, but take the time to go to school for yourself. And you can do that right here on YouTube. You really can. Of course, there are courses, there are things that you can go through, but I'm very much an advocate of, maybe if you don't have any money, just go the free route, watch videos, and teach yourself, because it will be the best investment of time that you can make. And you will be so happy, because guys, when it comes to regret, it's a painful thing. And you don't want to have that moment in 10 years and 15 years where you're like, yeah, I kept the stable, comfortable job because it just was stable and comfortable. And I had the income, I had the health insurance, and you didn't actually pursue the thing that you wanted. And so the kind of overall purpose and my thought of wanting to make this video is that you want to jump into the music industry. There's something that you want to do. Give yourself the permission to explore that. Give yourself the permission to actually go down that road. And I know that not just for you, but for me, it's going to be one of the best payoffs of your life. So make sure you come and also follow on Top Music Attorney on Instagram, as well as right here on Top Music YouTube. And I'm so excited for you guys. And I know that you're going to watch this and you're going to take action. I'm so excited for what comes next for you.